The street was quieter than usual that evening, the kind of quiet that feels heavier than silence. The sky hung low, painted in soft gray and fading blue, and the air smelled faintly of rain that never quite arrived. On the corner near the old bookstore, the street musician stood with his guitar, just as he had for years. Most people passed without noticing him anymore. He had become part of the street itself, like the lamppost or the cracked pavement beneath his feet. Tonight, though, his hands moved more slowly. He adjusted the worn strap on his guitar and looked around, taking in the familiar view as if he were seeing it for the last time. The cafe across the street was closing, chairs stacked inside. The bookstore lights were dimming one by one. Even the city seemed to be preparing for rest. He cleared his throat and began to play. The first notes floated gently into the air, soft and careful, as if they were unsure whether they were welcome. It was a simple melody, one he had written years ago when his life still felt full of possibilities. Back then, he believed music could fix almost anything. A broken heart. A bad day. A lonely soul. As he played, a woman slowed her steps nearby. She hadn't planned to stop. She was tired, her mind busy with unfinished tasks and quiet worries. But something in the sound pulled her in. It wasn't loud or impressive. It was honest. So she stood near the edge of the sidewalk, listening. The musician noticed her and gave a small nod, not breaking the rhythm. His fingers knew the strings by heart. Each note carried memories he had never spoken aloud. Late nights chasing dreams. Early mornings filled with hope. And all the moments in between, when hope felt fragile but still alive. A man walking his dog stopped next. Then a teenager with headphones around his neck. A couple stood together, sharing one umbrella even though the rain still hadn't come. None of them said a word. They just listened. The musician moved into the second part of the song, where the melody dipped lower, slower, like a deep breath after holding too much inside. His eyes closed briefly. In his mind, he saw the small apartment where he once lived with someone he loved. He saw the window where sunlight used to fall across the floor. He remembered laughter that filled the space, music playing just for fun, not for coins in a guitar case. Life hadn't turned out the way he planned. Somewhere along the road, the dreams got heavier, and the days got harder. Playing on the street became less about sharing music and more about surviving. Still, he kept playing. Because music was the one thing that stayed. Tonight was different. He opened his eyes and looked at the people gathered around him. They weren't rushing. They weren't distracted. For a few minutes, the world had slowed enough for them to feel something together. And that mattered more than he expected. A child tugged at her father's hand and whispered something. The father smiled and nodded. The child dropped a coin into the open guitar case and looked up at the musician like he was someone important. The musician felt a quiet warmth spread through his chest. The song began to rise again, lighter now. Hopeful, but gentle. Not the kind of hope that promises everything will be perfect, but the kind that says maybe tomorrow can be a little better than today. His voice joined the music, low and rough around the edges, shaped by years of singing into cold air. The words were simple. About leaving. About staying. About loving something enough to let it go. The woman near the sidewalk felt her throat tighten. She didn't know why the song affected her so deeply. Maybe it reminded her of something she had given up. Or someone she never properly said goodbye to. She placed a hand over her heart, surprised by the emotion rising there. When the final chorus came, the musician played it slower, stretching each note as if he wanted time to pause. As if he wasn't ready for the ending yet. His voice softened, almost a whisper now, carrying a feeling of quiet acceptance. This was his last song here. He hadn't told anyone. Not the other street performers. Not the shop owners who sometimes brought him coffee. Not even himself, until this moment. But he knew it was time. Time to stop standing on this corner, waiting for life to change on its own. The song ended with a single, lingering note that faded into the night. For a second, no one moved. Then someone began to clap. Slowly. Gently. Others joined in, not loudly, but sincerely. The sound filled the space where the music had been. The musician bowed his head slightly, feeling something close to peace settle over him. The woman stepped forward and placed a folded bill into the guitar case. She met his eyes and smiled, a soft, grateful smile that said more than words. "Thank you," she said quietly. He nodded. "Thank you for listening." One by one, the small crowd drifted away, carrying the song with them into their separate lives. The street returned to its usual rhythm. Cars passed. A bus sighed as it stopped nearby. The city kept moving. The musician packed up his guitar carefully, as he always did. He lingered for a moment, looking down the street where the lights blurred into warm, glowing lines. This corner had held so many pieces of his life. But it didn't need to hold him anymore. He lifted the guitar case, feeling its familiar weight in his hand, and took one last look around. Then he turned and walked away, the echo of his final song following him softly into whatever came next.